Under no circumstance market your crystals as remedies or cures for cancer. Now, I understand this is a delicate subject, and I realise that it's going to be a button for some people. We've all lost people to cancer, or we at the very least, know somebody who has. Therefore, it is a delicate subject, so I would like to address the fact of how I'm dressed. I've come in from the gym on my day off to upload educational content for free. I don't have anything else to wear. I would have worn something more respectful, but I'm working with what I have. Now, this, in my opinion, and I'm fairly sure there's people who are going to agree with me in the comments, this is the most pernicious, insidious, damaging, predatory form of marketing that exists within the crystal and broader well-being industry. Now, cancer is not one thing. It's an umbrella term that we use monolithically in order to address various different conditions, all of which are extraordinarily complex, which is why it's so difficult for us to bloody cure it. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. Now, when I started selling crystals online was for the most part during COVID. Now, this is largely because I had started in retail, and of course, the pandemic kicked everyone out of retail, so we had no choice. Now, this distanced me from the consumer in the sense that the people that I was dealing with, I didn't necessarily know very well, and I certainly couldn't see them. I certainly didn't know anything about them. However, during the pandemic, when everyone was trapped inside, you developed and garnered this kind of community during live videos. Now, there was a couple, very affable, lovely couple, that used to buy crystals off of myself and Danielle. And they were a lovely couple, and they used to spend a lot of money. The things that they would buy were quite elaborate. They didn't buy a lot, but the things that they did buy were quite expensive. Now, this is during lockdown when social distancing was in place and obviously things were being distributed out. You would send packages out to people. So you never really garnered a relationship with them beyond the one that you had online. Now, as soon as social distancing started to relax, this couple would actually come to the house and collect the items in order to minimize their distribution and actually to meet myself and Danielle. Now, it turned out, upon closer inspection, once we actually got to know this couple, that the husband actually had a debilitating brain tumour. And the reason and rationalisation for why they were spending the amount of money that they were on crystals was because somebody at some point had told them that it was going to help. Now, this upset myself and Danielle terribly. And I don't think we sold anything to them again beyond that point after we had this context. Cancer and various debilitating diseases that are afflicting millions of people around the world are not a joke, and they're certainly not an opportunity to leverage money from people. In fact, in the UK, it's actually been illegal to do this since 1939. It's in the Trades Description Act, it's in the Advertising Standards Authority information, which is clearly there in black and white. In the UK, if you're caught doing this once in the context of remedies or cures, that's a massive fine. If you're caught twice, that's a custodial sentence, which means prison. Now, you might think this is hyperbole and people aren't actually doing this. Well, I challenge you to look for it and see what you find. And I challenge you even further to stick what you find in the comment section, because this is happening, it does happen, and sadly it happens more often than it should do. Now, very early on in our career, people would call Danielle and myself phone calls of a similar nature that I still get to this day, where people have seen people marketing crystals and minerals for various different conditions, including but not limited to cancer. People who have actually legitimately been suffering from cancer have ended up on the phone to me and Danielle, me or Danielle, in floods of tears because they've been so traumatically insulted by the audacity of people trying to leverage money from people who are undergoing things like chemotherapy. This is not a joke. None of the things that I talk about in this context are a joke. This is people's lives. It's not an opportunity for you to elicit money from people at a moment of profound desperation. Cancer is a complicated condition, and it is not just one thing. We call it one thing, frankly, for the sake of making it easier to discuss. It's innumerable amount of diseases that are extraordinarily complex. In fact, I had a very long conversation with a microbiologist once who said openly to me that we will never cure it because it's just too complicated. Fortunately, that conversation was about 10 years ago, and I like to hope that science has pushed past that cynicism. But for the love of God, never market crystals and minerals or any holistic therapy as being a remedy or cure for cancer.